So there have been a ton of new updates in Pokemon Go. We got the Blaziken Community Day, just ended. We got the new lures and some new Pokemon, which is awesome. And then we also have the Raid weekend coming up. So everybody wants to know, what should I pay attention to and which Pokemon are good from these events? Well, I'm going to take you through a brief synopsis of what's going on and what's good. Starting out, we got Blaziken's Community Day. Just ended today, so pretty hype. Blaziken with the Blast Burn is now the top fire DPS Pokemon in the game. One thing that's not so hot though is they nerfed Blaziken. Blaziken was originally going to have 50 base power, now Blaziken has 45 base power. That means that it's no longer as good, if not slightly better than Blast Burn. It's now definitely a notch under it. And the combo moveset still kind of makes sense because it is a faster move than Blast Burn if you want to have both on the same Pokemon, but the benefit is no longer as there as it once was, so could be worth it, might want to save your dust. As far as PvP is concerned, both attacks are a huge gain for Blaziken. If you think about it, Blast Burn was enough to make Charizard relevant. Well, now it's definitely enough to make Blaziken much more relevant. As far as the Great League goes, like the entirety of it, I don't think Blaziken's necessarily a must-have or super good Pokemon, but when it comes to Cups, Blaziken is definitely going to make a bigger showing than when it once was. For example, if you haven't done the Nightmare Cup yet, you might want to whip out your Double Fire Blaziken. Teach those double dark strats a lesson. Blaze Kick, super good because earliest activation time for it, and then Blast Burn, super good because super heavy damage. Do you always want to use both moves in PvP? I think it depends on the cup because comboing certain movesets might be better. Moving on down, we have the new lure modules. We got the Glacial, the Mossy, and the Magnetic lure modules, and they're pretty hype. The Glacial one will attract Ice and Water type Pokemon. The Mossy one will attract Grass, Bug, and Poison type Pokemon, and then the Magnetic one will attract Steel, Electric, and Rock type Pokemon. What's even cooler about these modules is that they can allow for some specific evolutions when you're in the presence of the lure module. So with the Glacial and the Mossy, you can finally evolve Eevee into either Glaceon or Leafeon, and then with the Magnetic one, you can finally evolve Probopass. And with the Magnetic one, you can finally evolve Nosepass into Probopass and Magneton into Magnezone. And of course, with the evolutions, there is the name trick. So if you name your Eevee Linnea or Linnea, you can get Leafeon, or if you name it Rhea or Rhea, you can get Glaceon. I don't know how to pronounce these names, but all you have to do is type it in right, and bam, you get your one shot at the auto evolution. But it's not that big of a deal because all you have to do is be in the module and you get the auto evolution anyways. So now, of course, you guys want to know how these Pokemon are in the meta. Well, when it comes to Glaceon, Glaceon's pretty hot. I'd say it is tied in second with Weavile in terms of ice type attackers go. Obviously, neither hold a candle to the Mamoswine. Mamoswine, ice type god right now. But Glaceon is a very powerful secondary option. If you like some variety, if you're into Poke drafts, even better. Glaceon, super good ice type. Watch out, dragon flying type Pokemon. When it comes to Leafeon, Leafeon kind of has the deck stacked against it. There are tons of great grass type Pokemon in this game, so it's really hard for Leafeon to stand out. That said, Leafeon's not too bad. I'd say for not being one of the best, it's definitely a really good like B-list secondary kind of option. So if you are a Leafeon enthusiast, if you got the shiny Hundo Lucky Flower Crown Leafeon, don't worry about it. Just whip out the Leaf Blade and it's not bad. Then when it comes to Magnezone, I think Magnezone might have some hype in PvP because of its dual typing and its access to Spark and Wild Charge. Might not be one of the number one picks in PvP, but I think it could make a good showing there. As far as raid content goes, Magnezone is tons of hype. Yeah, so I told you about this in the deep past when we first talked about Gen 4. With Spark and Wild Charge, it is one of the best electric types in the game. So you got Raikou leading the charge as the best overall electric type. Then you got Electivire, who actually has slightly more DPS than Raikou. And then finally you got Magnezone. And while Magnezone isn't outright better than either of them, it does have the Steel subtyping, which means in certain raids against certain movesets, you'll have that increased bulk because of the Steel typing. For example, I don't know, Blizzard Kyogre? Yeah, Magnezone rocks that raid. So I'd say Magnezone is definitely a Pokemon that you want in your party. Really powerful, really tanky, good resistances. Then when it comes to Probopass, Yeah, Probopass isn't exactly gifted in the raid department, but what it lacks there, it makes up in PvP. So if you follow the Great League at all, you'll know that Melmetal and Bastodon are two of the biggest players in PvP. If you're going to have a PvP team for the Great League, you're going to want either of those two Pokemon or both. Well, unfortunately, both of these Pokemon are really high investment. Like, they're rare, you need lots of Stardust to power them up, you need Stardust, tons of it to unlock their secondary moves, so they're relatively impractical Pokemon. Well, Probopass comes in, Nigel Thornberry the Rock, saving the day, does the same thing as both of them, arguably better, and way cheaper. Yeah, so comboing Spark with Thunderbolt and Rock Slide will be the bread and butter, simple moveset for Probopass to dominate in the Great League. You can also switch out either of those moves for Magnet Bomb to help out in the mirror or to help out against Bastodon. Smackdown? Forget about Smackdown. This is Spark City. Team Instinct! Huh! But yeah, Probopass, excellent Pokemon, really nice in PvP. Get one. So that covers the lure modules. Well, let's talk about that new move, Earth Power. Checking out the stats here on Game Press, the damage per second times the damage per energy, so the most valuable charge moves, good simple way to rank it. Earth Power is the best ground type charge move of all currently released charge moves, actually beating out Drill Run, which is pretty crazy. But not so crazy right now. The Pokemon that get it here, Aerodactyl, Camerupt, Claydol, Gastrodon, Hippowdon, Nidoking, Nidoqueen, really aren't that good in raid content. Kind of unfortunate. One thing I think is a little silly too is Nidoking and Nidoqueen, both known as like the Horn or the Horn Drill Pokemon, and they don't get Drill Run. No, but they get Earth Power, so whatever. A little thematic shake up there. I mean, in the main series games, if you're using Nidoqueen or Nidoking competitively, you're probably using Earth Power anyways, so I guess thematically it kind of makes sense. As far as PvP goes, it's a pretty great move. Yeah, 55 energy cost, 90 power, not too shabby already, and it'll drop defense by 1 stage, which is awesome. Now, this move doesn't make any of these Pokemon outright really good in the general Great League. Maybe Gastrodon, maybe, but I have to do a deeper analysis on Gastrodons. That's in the future. Subscribe to SwagTips if you want that future analysis on Gastrodon. But in general, it doesn't make any of these Pokemon stand out too much. Now in Cups, however, it's awesome. Claydol with Earth Power. The attack is so good that many players are considering switching from Confusion to Extra Sensory just so they can use Earth Power that much sooner on their Claydols, which is a pretty good consideration. If you haven't done your Nightmare Cup tournament yet, you might want to look into those stats. When it comes to Nidoking and Nidoqueen, if we were to have a reprise of the Twilight Cup, I would expect that move to be really powerful on them there as well. So Earth Power, really hype move. Definitely has a lot of strong, powerful implications for PvP now and in the game in the future. So looking forward to that. Since we're on the topic of ground type Pokemon, yeah, we finally got it. Garchomp is in the game. The champion Cynthia's favorite boy. Finally added. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in Gen 4, I think everybody who's played that game, the Gen 4 games, has the memory of just losing to Garchomp. I mean, I was in high school, so I was like smart and good at Pokemon, and I still lost to Cynthia's Garchomp. And I was like mentally prepared for it too. Yeah, thing is insane. Is it insane in Pokemon Go? Well, as a ground type Pokemon, it is just behind Groudon in performance, which is amazing. Now, what are the main targets for ground type Pokemon? Electric types, of course, and Garchomp is a dragon ground type Pokemon. Like Flygon, gets the triple resist to electric type attacks. So if you think about it that way, Garchomp, arguably better than Groudon in raid content as a ground type attacker. So that is pretty extreme. Now if you're wondering about Garchomp as a dragon type Pokemon, it's not too bad. It's got Outrage. Right? What more do you want? It's just about as good as Dragonite. Depending on the matchup, one or the other might be slightly better. It's not exactly a must-have Dragon-type Pokemon. And I mean, the Dragon pool is so oversaturated already, so your Dragon-type squad better be figured out by now. But not bad. Now, if you're curious about PvP, in the Master League, this guy's pretty freaking cool. Dialga, one of the top Master League Pokemon. Weak to ground-type attacks? Who gets Mudshot and Earthquake? Garchomp does. Nice. And then Groudon, bringing the doom in the end game with Mudshot and Earthquake. Garchomp's doing the same job. And then you also have Outrage to back it up with that general neutral damage, better general neutral damage than Groudon. We might have a Groudon upgrade here, guys. So if you are invested in the Master League, well, you best get hunting for that Hundo Garchomp because it might be kind of important. Now to wrap things up, we do have the raid weekend. I actually didn't verify if it's a week or a weekend. The main thing you need to know is on May 25th or May 26th, depending on your region, link in the description for more information, Lapras is coming back as a raid boss. You have the chance to get the shiny Lapras, which is already cool, but all Laprases caught during that event will have Ice Shard and Ice Beam, which are legacy moves. Now, this doesn't make Lapras a top Ice-type raider by any stretch, don't get me wrong, but in PvP, Ice Beam is the superior charge move. So if you are invested in Great League PvP, then this is definitely an event that you're going to want to keep your eyeballs peeled for. Now, Ice Shard, better than Frost Breath for PvP. Is it better than Water Gun? Well, it depends on the cup. Depends on what you're using Lapras for, right? So definitely it would be good to have an Ice Shard, Ice Beam, Lapras in your repertoire. But similarly, it would be very good to have a Water Gun, Ice Beam, Lapras in your repertoire. Now, if you want to know how to best beat down this Lapras, I do have a duo guide, which will also give information for the best picks in general, coming up in the near future. So make sure to subscribe to SwagTips if you want that information. And if you want a more in-depth analysis on any of these Pokemon, I do plan on releasing more content related to this. I just want to do a quick overview, wrap up, keep you guys in the know on what's going on in Pokemon Go. If you got any questions on this content, comment below, let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. If you haven't subscribed to me already, like, I told you to do it like 4 times already throughout this video. Come on, man, get with the program. SwagTips. You might be thinking, Ryan Swag, you left out Cherim. What about Cherim? Yeah, Cherim doesn't really do anything cool at all. It's okay.